Welcome everybody to What's Up Bolts. I'm Fernando Ramirez. That is Dan in Daygo. We are back. It's been a little bit, but we are obviously back. There's a lot of Charger news. We got some new digs, Dan. What do you think about the graphic back there?
You know what I think? I think it says unlimited power.
Going Star Wars, I'm guessing.
Shout out, dude.
But without further ado, you know him, you love him. We got to bring him on to the show. Uncle Joe Reedy.
Nice.
I thought it was going to be Fireball for a second.
Oh, I don't want to get copyrighted.
Oh,
nice little Bret Hart. Don't worry, there's no screw jobs here, Uncle Joe. We're all good here. We're all friends. I don't need to get spat on at the end of the night.
Well, we're not in Canada, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. Uncle Joe, how you been?
Doing good. I have to admit, I am surprised at the rate of signings the first 3 days. Usually we have the giant first wave and then things settle down for a couple days. It seems like we've had the first, second, and second and a half wave of signings, especially with the running backs on Mondays. So I think the rate that things are getting done has surprised me a great deal so far.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It seems like, and that's what it kind of got kickstarted with. It was the running backs. Usually in the past, we've seen, hey, maybe other positions get bigger money, but I thought DeAndre Swift got paid. So did Saquon Barkley, even Derrick Henry. Those guys all got paid. I think obviously the one that kind of didn't get as much, I'm sure, as he expected was former Charger Austin Eckler from the Commanders, but I mean, he did have kind of a down year last year, so that I'm sure that has a lot to do with it.
Speaking of former Chargers, I know Uncle Joe could not believe the news coming out of Las Vegas that his boy Jerry Tillery got cut. I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock. The guy was a first round pick. What are we doing?
That Tom Telesco Jerry Tillery reunion didn't last too long, did it?
That's a saga in and of itself.
I want to tell you something. I want you to know, as soon as the news broke and we were live, I exactly brought up Uncle Joe's famous tweets about Jerry Tillery. That is absolutely legendary. I should literally go through your Twitter and screenshot those and keep those when I need a good laugh. That was absolutely legendary, dude. I loved it.
I mean, when Jerry Tillery comes to SoFi Stadium, you know bonkers shit is going to happen. I mean, he's going to cause some sort of harm to his team. So it'll be interesting where he shows up, if anywhere, right now.
I'm sure he'll like Canada.
The UFL season starts in
exactly.
A couple weeks.
Maybe that's true too.
Good there.
You know, it's funny. As soon as the Jerry Tillery kind of hit Herbert out of bounds and everything, the first thing I did was go to Uncle Joe's Twitter to see what he was going to grace us with, because I knew it was going to be glorious. So that was.
Oh yeah, you get on some heaters.
Yeah, he's like, of course, Jerry Tillery gets a 15-yard. Or no, he's like, as soon as I saw him get hit out of bounds, I was like, I know who that is. Right away, he knew who that was.
I was shocked that Jerry Tillery would do something stupid.
I know. But obviously, we got to talk about it. Uncle Joe, this is in a sense, a new era. It's Jim Harbaugh. It's Joe Ortiz. I was joking around with Gilbert. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make their moves until Wednesday at like 12:20 or 12:50 right before the new year. And it kind of came down to it. And obviously they announced that they had released Mike Williams. And then obviously Adam Schefter tweeted out that the Chargers had restructured Khalil Mack's contract. I don't think the Mike Williams thing was a surprise. Did the Khalil Mack restructure surprise you?
Not really. I thought that would happen, but I do think that the Mac thing they had to get done quickly. The next two now, and I forget who brought it up. In 3 days, Joey Bosa's roster bonus comes due. Keenan Allen's roster bonus is
Sunday
on the 17th. So they've got some time to do some restructuring there. They were out of the woods to get the Edwards and Disley and Alohi Gilman re-signings done, but they still aren't out of the woods totally yet. They've still got some moves and excuse me, and restructures and a ton of other things to do. But because I think the one thing they said the Mike Williams cut got him cap compliant. I think the one thing that we all maybe overlooked is that they could carry over $7 million into the new league year. So I think the combo of saving $7 million there, I mean, saving $20 million on Mike, carrying over $7 million in salary cap room that they still had available, and then restructuring Khalil Mack got them to where they could be right now. But they've still got a little bit to do.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was going to ask you. What do you, I mean, it was hard not to try and bring back Khalil. I mean, Khalil's been a leader of that defense, 17 sacks. He's not only a pass rusher, but he sets the edge also. And I think that was a huge part of why, yes, they did still struggle against the run, but it wasn't as bad as it had been in years past. And I think he's a big reason for that. He's been healthy both seasons that he's been with the Chargers. I just think it was I mean, and anything can still happen from now until I guess the season starts. But as of right now, he still is here. But when you look over at Keenan and Joey, I think the big question mark is Joey, because I think Jim has mentioned Keenan Allen way too many times for them to maybe move him or anything else. And I've said it before. When it comes to Keenan and Justin, you could throw them out there with blindfolds and they could find each other no matter what. But what do you kind of make of Joey? What do you think happens there?
I think Joe, and we all like the guy. Joey's a good guy. Unfortunately, there's the run of injuries, and last year during training camp, he was like, "This is the healthiest that I've ever been." You know, my hamstrings feel good and everything. And then just the injuries happen again. It's almost like with Joey, it's like, don't say any of that stuff during the preseason. Please don't. Just maybe at the end of the year, if you get to 15, 16, 17 games played, it's now I feel as good as I have. But you feel bad for him too, because since 2016, he's kind of ridden the roller coaster of this franchise, and through coaching changes, defensive coordinator changes, it's a tough road. And you also got to wonder too, without Giff Smith here now, who is that assistant coach that he leans on and for support and everything. So if you can trade Joey, I think you do right now, because I also think out of the Mike and Keenan stuff too. When Mike re-signed in 2022, we all knew that coming up this year, one of them was going to be gone between Mike and Keenan. You couldn't have two receivers making $20 million, at least $20 million on the roster, not unless the salary was going to be $300 million, which maybe in 5-6 years will happen.
The way we're going.
Yeah, but not this year. So we all knew it was going to be one of them gone. I think most thought Keenan because of the years and everything, but I think with Mike's injury history and everything, it was going to be Mike.
And he's just so productive too. Like the guy, just gets catch after catch, keeps his chains moving. He's just such a security blanket, such a comfort for Herbert, the young goat, as I like to call him, Uncle Joe, that it's so hard to think of him not being there. But one thing I did want to ask you, if you don't mind if I jump in real quick for now.
Real quick, James, thank you so much for listening.
Shout out.
You're awesome. James, a good dude. I love James. So And if anybody else has any comments, any questions for Uncle Joe, for Dan, for myself,
Yeah.
make sure you guys throw them out there. But go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, you already know. You talk, we talk back. Don't you worry. You get on in there. Realistically, this is my thing, right? What could you get for Joey in a trade? Because, in my opinion, I'm either waiting to see if I'm another team. I'm either waiting to see if they cut him because of cap and all that stuff. Especially, I don't know if you've seen the rumors, and I'm sure it's just rumors that he supposedly doesn't want to restructure. I don't know how true that is. So once again, let me say, I don't know how true that is. Don't take that as gospel. But realistically, if I'm one of these teams, I'm either going to lowball him with some late round stuff or, just wait till he gets cut. What realistically do you think they could get for him?
I think if you could get a mid-round pick, that would be good, because right now you're looking into cap savings for him and everything, and rebuilding a roster. So I think that's a savings now. And then whatever you can get in terms of a draft pick, you do, because with the new regime, draft picks are valuable capital right now. And it's especially going to be this year with this team being a little bit cap strong. That you're going to need this draft class to come in and produce right away. So as many picks that you can get as possible, go and do it. But I think if you went into the season with Khalil and Tuli as the rush linebackers, I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Yeah, no, especially because Tuli's still growing.
And he
Uncle
stepped
Joe,
up.
James has a quick question. Where do you think the Chargers go with that draft pick? Because I mean, I've been telling Dan and I've been telling Gilbert that, in my opinion, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there at 5 because teams jumped up to grab a quarterback, then I think they
sprint to the table if Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, because even though Ohio State lost to Michigan, he still did well against Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter's defense. So they know the kind of talent that he's there. But I think if it's anything else, I think they may actually think about trading down, especially because, like we talked about, Uncle Joe, they have they're in a cap situation. I think they're going to moneyball a lot of this season where they're going to get low risk, high reward kind of guys, bring them in, and then obviously they're going to go through the draft and kind of pull what Sean McVay did last year with his defense. A lot of young players, try and get them in there to play, but you're just going to have to draft really well. But where do you kind of see them going with that 5th pick?
If it's the 5th pick, I mean, everybody's saying offensive line, but if Marvin Harrison's there, it would be like I said, you sprint to the podium in Detroit and get
Don't
him.
even take up that whole time. Just as soon as it gets on you, he's there. Just go up and get him. Like there's no sense of
and one thing I was gonna say, I've seen a lot of people talk about. I think Joe Alt, they say, but he's a left tackle is he the one out of Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, and it's like they talk about moving him to right tackle, and it's like I don't know if it's just me, Uncle Joe, coaching it and stuff like that. Like I would be very hesitant moving guys around like that, especially last year. You saw Salyer moving him from left tackle to guard, like didn't look good. And sometimes these guys have those mental barriers to begin with. So that to me would be the only thing I would be a little hesitant on in the drafting a lineman, just because famously not too long ago, Taylor Lewan talked about that when he was, on the verge of being a free agent. He's like, if I would sign for another team, here's my conditions. I'm a left tackle. I need 77, and Will Compton comes with me. That was the 3 things. But it's like that mental barrier is very real for people. In a sense, they say, no, I can't switch my feet. No, I can't go to this side. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing I would be a little bit hesitant of when it comes to that.
You have very few guys who can display versatility at all the line positions. Andrew Whitworth was one of the best that I saw, because in Cincinnati he started out as a right tackle, 4th year in the league, moved to left. 1 year when there was injuries on the offensive line in Cincinnati, he ended up playing guard.
Wow.
during late in the season. I mean, yes, there are the Penei Sewell cases where you can go from left in college to right in the league and do fairly well.
Yeah.
But I also saw Andre Smith struggle, who was a born left tackle, and go to right. Now, some of it was weight issues and holding out 5 weeks and everything, but it took him a good 2.5 to 3 years before he finally got it at right tackle. So it is an adjustment, and with the footwork and everything. Sawyer did good at both tackle spots, but guard is a little bit of a challenge too. And
It's a lot
why do
different.
you draft a natural left tackle when you've got an interesting choice to make on Rashawn Slater coming up?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't make any other moves at free agency as far as the receivers, that's a very thin and inexperienced room right now. That you've got to go get some wideouts and get some playmakers,
especially because you don't know. I mean, and I've seen videos, and I talked to Quentin for a little bit at Radio Row, and you've heard what Quentin's come out and said other places where he's excited about playing for Jim Harbaugh, and that Jim spoke to him about that play where basically Quentin was one of the big reasons why they got knocked out of the college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
And Josh Palmer's been a guy that when healthy, he's proven that he's good, but at the same time, you look at it and he gets hurt. He's another one of those guys. So, and I'm sure getting Ben Herbert in here and the new strength and conditioning everything's going to be different in this building. So a lot of things could change, but as of right now, some of these guys, especially like you mentioned at receiver, they're very thin. They're very thin at tight end as well. So there are some positions where, and I mean, Will Dissly obviously is a good, is going to be a good blocking tight end, but you need a pass catching tight end. But Uncle Joe, when you look at the Mike Williams thing, I really think that whoever signs him, I think they're going to get one hell of a player. I mean, obviously he's coming back from his ACL, and I just remember in 2017 when he got drafted, he had the back injury. They worked him back slowly. He played, but only 11 catches, 95 yards, and everybody was kind of starting to use the B word with him. And then the next year he comes out 10 touchdowns, over 700 yards receiving. He slowly grew into his role, and I thought he's been one of the biggest pieces of this team the last few years.
Well, he's a 3-level receiver. I mean, the first couple years here, he was mainly the deep threat guy, or getting the yards that way. I think since 2019, tied for fifth most catches of 40-yard receptions of 40 yards or more. When Brandon Staley came in that offense, he showed he was more of a short route type guy. And I think maybe last year a little bit was starting to show maybe what he was at Clemson as far as all three levels: short, intermediate, and deep. So I know there are some people who are saying maybe he could re-sign here. I think it would be on a 1-year prove-it deal, to be frank. But I also think with the money out there and everything, he's gonna find a rich payday elsewhere. Where if he does come back here, it's gonna be on a hometown discount. But if you're Mike, do you want to do a hometown discount on a GM and on a new GM and a head coach? That's the thing to me.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's New England out there, and they're going to have money, and they just missed out on Calvin Ridley. There's going to be other teams that are going to offer him.
Denver could have money after the Jerry Jeudy trade. I mean, they're looking for kind of a game-breaking wide receiver.
I saw a lot of some Charger fans on Twitter were kind of like, "Oh, he's probably going to go to the Chiefs," but even they're kind of cap struck too. So it would have to be a 1 year, like 1 year, $8 million or something, or 10-year, and then also a lot of incentives to try and reach about 15 million maybe. But They're cap struck too. So I really think that he's going to have his pick of teams, though, different places to go, but it's just going to be the comfortability. And then the quarterback, I mean, do you really want to, like, that's what it's going to come down to. Do you want to go? Because I saw Chicago as one of the places, Chicago, New England. And this is just like from what I've seen from different places that have money. But it's like they have question marks at quarterback. Is that really what he's going to want to do? Or does he want to take the 1 year, prove it? So I think it's going to come down to all those factors. But Mike said certainly an interesting case because the Chargers did this only 3 days after tampering officially started. So it's not like they did this a couple of weeks later and like there's no suitors, there's no money out there. There's still a lot of money out there for him to be had. So I think that's, like you said, that's what he's going to be looking at.
To quote Mike, for sure.
I really hope they can bring him back, dude. That guy is so clutch in the fourth quarter. Such a good deep threat, good hands. You know, it's just a shame. Like, it just really bothers me that, you know, the 2 times he kind of got hurt recently, it was wide receiver screens and just, you know, linebacker, D lineman or whatever just crushes him. And that's just so gut wrenching.
I mean, but the bad thing is, you look at this receiver room right now.
Well, that's the other thing.
It's Keenan Allen, Darius Davis, and Quentin Johnson. Yay.
Oh, is Josh Palmer a free agent?
And Josh Palmer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What about Guyton? Is Guyton a free agent?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's gone.
Okay, good.
Or he's not
Okay,
there.
good. Okay, good. Now they can get some more pieces in there, hopefully. But yeah, you're right. A lot of inexperience, dude. Maybe that tells you, Uncle Joe, they're just looking to run the football and pound it, dude. They're not going to pass at all. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, they got only one running back right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's only Isaiah Spiller.
Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards.
Oh yeah, and Gus Edwards. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Spiller? Is he been taken off the milk carton?
I don't know.
You know, go ahead.
I thought when he got touches, he looked a little productive. Out of besides Austin Eckler, I guess sort of, because he had a down year too. I thought he looked the most productive because Josh Kelly, super just inconsistent, dude. Inconsistent, and he gets hurt also. Hopefully Ben Herbert's able to get that out of the water. That way they quit getting hurt.
But Spiller was productive in the second Vegas
Yeah, of course,
game in the fourth quarter when maybe
it didn't matter.
Maybe
yeah,
5 people were watching, and already
yeah.
Chargers PR had the Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley fired release ready to go.
And we were there. Remember that? Uncle Joe and I just looked at each other at what was it, 21-0 by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah,
and
we're just
Can you imagine being in that locker room, dude? Either at half
were.
or the game.
We were.
Oh really? Oh really?
Yeah.
You don't have to imagine. We were there.
Yeah.
Oh damn. Well, okay, I was on the
game.
outside. I didn't know. Damn, my bad.
Yeah. After the game, it was
Pins and
pretty
needles,
dead,
dude.
and like if you couldn't get to the player when you were like if you weren't right next to the player when he was answering a question, there was no way your camera was going to be able to pick it up because they were speaking really low.
Yeah, they were.
So,
well, that's where I give Khalil Mack credit for doing 10 to 12 minutes after that game and basically staying in there and answering stuff, because there were a couple players that were firing flames with their eyes. I mean, Austin was the quick exit that night and was like,
what did he say? I ain't got shit for you. No, he said something to that effect.
Yeah, he's like I ain't talking or something like that.
Yeah. There's a 4-letter word in there. I just can't remember what the 4-letter word was though. But yeah, that game was pretty, and that's why I gave so much credit to Derwin and Khalil. No matter what it was, no matter how bad the games were, both of them would get up and they would talk, and if you needed them for a long time, if you needed them for a little bit of time, they were there. So I give them a lot of credit for being able to stand in there, because you know the frustration. I mean, the thing is, Khalil and Derwin are, I mean, it's different, and we all know it's different when you're two high-level guys like that. there's frustration because you see people around you, like Derwin, who's the closest guy he's closest with, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen's won a ring. Jalen's had success. Jalen's won games. So obviously, I'm sure with Derwin, it's kind of like, shoot, like I mean, I want to get there too, and I eventually want to be there. And Khalil, I'm sure the same thing. So and for them to sit there and I know it's their job, quote unquote, but you've seen it, Uncle Joe. Guys will be like, nah, and they just walk away or this or that. Those guys are willing to take their lumps and talk after the games too.
Well, with the way that second half of the season had gone, I mean, if they didn't make a move the day after that game, they weren't going to make a move until the end of the season.
Oh yeah, that would have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was it was something that I think everybody, the players, especially after that game, were resigned to, because they were flat against Denver. Even the first half when Herbert was in, they were flat. And then 4 days later in a division game on national television to come out like that, when basically your studio crew and everybody is going, are we going to see the first halftime firing of a coach in NFL history happen? You knew. I mean, the only other time Richard Sherman has been that animated on Amazon Prime was the run the ball thing, the one time against Denver, where I thought he was having flashbacks to Russell Wilson and the Super Bowl against New England.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and that's why, like, it was just it was one of those things where you saw how bad it was. And then I think the worst part, Uncle Joe, and not worse, but like when these guys came out in the last 3 games and they played hard against against all these guys, you're just like, wow, okay, like this is pretty. I mean, they played really hard for oh god, I forgot it. Yeah,
3
for
quarters
Gibbs,
against yeah.
But they
Buffalo
played really
against
hard.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, just what did you what did you make of kind of the last few weeks, Uncle Joe, of the season? I mean, I know we've turned the page and everything, but just what did you make of those final 3 games?
I think it was hard because of the amount of injuries and everything, and also the players who were in with the free agency. I mean, Easton Stick, free agent. Joshua Kelly, free agent. I think those last 3 weeks were more of the, we were all keeping an eye on Michigan, and me doing the chronicling of Jim Harbaugh's tour of Southern California.
Oh, that's right. You were at Disney with him, yeah.
So I think eyes were turned toward that. But I think the thing that benefited this team and the organization was Michigan winning the Rose Bowl against Alabama. So at least going into that last game, it wasn't the when's Jim Harbaugh going to talk and interview and all that. You could get the end of season interviews and everything out of the way, and Harbaugh could go win his national title, and then all of that could start, instead of the, all eyes focus, 2 simultaneous chapters going on at the same time. So I think think that was a good thing.
It feels like the month of January was really long for Charger fans, especially with how many people they interviewed, how many GMs they interviewed, and then finally they announced Jim. Then who's going to be the GM? They announced Joe, and then obviously the last probably 2 weeks has been, or the last week has been, what's going to happen with Mike Keenan, Khalil, and Joey. So it's been completely different, but I just get
down 2 to go really on the players. I mean, we know what's happening with Khalil and Mike now with Joey and Keenan. It's kind of still wait and see.
And what's interesting is that I think that Jim is completely different. I mean, I was around Mike. I was around Anthony, and then and you were around Anthony, and then obviously we've been around Brandon and everything. But he's the aura just seems different around Jim. And I mean, independently from the other guys, we're inexperienced, and this guy is just something completely different. But he just seems like he's different. It seems like they really,
dude.
it just seems like they really not leveled up or like once or twice, like they leveled up like 100 times just because of the kind of the way Jim is. But what's kind of one thing that has stood out to you about him now that we've been around him a couple times?
He's calmer and more sure of himself. Because I think cover him, because I get his tenure with the Niners, he was still, that young, hyped up type of guy and everything. I think the post game thing with Jim Schwartz's first year has gone around a couple times. But I think Michigan and everything and age and stuff, he's got the aura. He's more sure of himself. There's that quiet, there's that confidence there. Yeah, you'll get the folksy sayings and everything, but it resonates a lot more. And you've got guys who are going to go to the mat for him, and I mean it's going to be an interesting offseason, especially coming up in a couple weeks, because when Ben-Hur gets them for conditioning and everything, since the coaches can't work with them on the field until week 3, those 2 weeks with Ben-Hur is gonna be something, and that's gonna get the attitude across immediately.
I did hear a rumor that Ben Herbert makes the media also work out with them, so we better be careful, Uncle Joe.
Well, I mean, Fernando, this might be the first time a strength and conditioning coach talks on day 1 of off-season workouts if we can get Ben Herbert. I mean,
and everybody's going to be excited to hear what he has to say.
Yes, I mean, the Michigan coaches and the players all swear by him. And you look at the YouTube videos that Michigan posted and everything. I mean, let's face it. Every NFL team should have a psychotic strength and conditioning.
Then that's what Dan
have it for a while with John Lott, because John Lott during the combine is insane with those guys.
He gave Justin Herbert his first NFL haircut.
Yeah, I mean, John Lott didn't have many brain cells, sane brain cells firing, and Ben Herbert. I mean, this team's been plagued by injuries and stuff, so it'll be interesting too to see how he can turn this stuff around with conditioning and what they'll go through during OTAs and training camp and mini camp. And I mean, the one thing too is that, come training camp, this team moves into a new complex. So those D's and F's for weight room, locker room, hopefully nutrition and everything else should be a thing of the past on next year's survey.
Well, especially because of all the people that they've hired, they brought in, and they've made so many changes. I mean, love it or not, I know that I know that the Spanos family has gotten tagged before with being cheap, with this, whatever you want. But this wasn't a cheap hiring. It's not just Jim that you're getting. It's Jesse Minter. You're paying for a lot of stuff that it's going to be a complete upgrade. I'm sure their weight room, whatever it would have been originally, I think it's going to be completely different next, like in that new building.
Or what?
Didn't you hear?
It's going to be now for 3 months.
Yeah,
I mean, he was in there on day 2 or 3 with a shop vac and going to Home Depot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
starting
to nail down some racks, dude.
Exactly. Real quick, Uncle Joe, before we get back into this, but I don't know if you saw Drew Tranquil, former Chargers, making some recruiting pitches. Let me show you right here. he tweeted at Drew Trank, or he tweeted at, what's up at the real Mike Dub, see red and think Super Bowls. And then he's like, while we're at it, what's up Primetime Jet, see red and think Super Bowls. He's talking about Hollywood Brown also.
Oh my god.
So there he is recruiting.
I agree with you, Carlos
He's making
Charger.
the
That
same
is
pitch that
kind of
Andy
gross.
Reid did last year to him.
Yeah.
So,
But don't worry, I'm trying to fix that. I've already reached out to Sydney Sweeney, Jenny Ortega, and some of these actresses and singers. We're gonna get J Herb, the right girl. Don't you worry. We're gonna get a dynasty coming our way, Uncle Joe.
no singers.
Well, hey, if I can find one, I will. I thought I couldn't think of one. Of course, that might have been relatively his age, but
Selena Gomez. Oh no, Selena Gomez is a lot
no,
older.
she's like yeah. No, my boy's like 25, dude, or 24.
I think
25.
Serena's into the older singers because I saw her at a Lakers game with Benny Bianco a month or two ago.
Oh wow,
Oh, there you go.
Maybe we'll get him a nice little Latina, dude. We'll go get him Becky G or one of these reggaeton chicks, dude. Give him a nice little spice in his life.
Uncle Joe, real quick, what did you make of the Eric Kendricks flipping and turning around and going to Dallas?
Wow.
I think I joked Mike Zimmer greater than Brandon Staley.
Oh, that's right. It would have been you and reunited. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Zim and Kendricks have a good history together, and I think Zimmer outlined what exactly he wants him to do in that defense in Dallas. So I do think that is a good pairing.
And then you bring somebody that has his message, or like a leader who has the message already, knows exactly what's expected of everybody.
Yeah, because really only Jerry Jones remembers what Mike Zimmer was like the first time he was in Dallas. But
what did you make of Skip Bayless's tweet, by the way?
You know, Skip can't even draw 60,000 on FS1 most days, so it's like Skip who?
Yeah,
I mean, Skip getting rid of Shannon Sharp was the worst thing, and I mean,
yeah,
that show now. I mean, how many times have we seen Skip throw Cowboys jerseys into the trash and everything?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm tired of seeing those videos.
At least he has good punctuation, Uncle Joe, because that could have been a disastrous tweet.
The internet ran wild with that.
Well, are we sure with all in he wasn't talking about another Chargers documentary?
Obviously,
which will be interesting if they do it behind the scenes with Jim Harbaugh and stuff. Is it?
Do you think he'll allow? I mean, he
I don't think they'll do it.
He allowed Prime Video to do that season
with Michigan. Yeah, but it was like I think it was like lead up to like the first scrimmage, and that was it. I don't think it was.
Well, people were pissed at him because he took the team over to Italy to
go see the Pope.
the Vatican, and well, him and his family went to go see the Pope. He didn't. The team didn't go.
Oh,
but
okay.
People were pissed off because he took the whole team out there. Well, from what I saw, the criticism. But what do you think, Uncle Joe? Do you think he allows that, or he's like, nah?
Well, I mean, teams have control over their messaging and stuff. I just wonder, what the title will be. Now we're really all in, or
who's got it better than us?
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Or,
like I thought it was so.
Win the day, or
there you go.
Go ahead, Dan.
Exactly. No, I was gonna say, like, I thought, like, I agree. Like, if they're gonna do something, like, I want to see the real. Like, I was so tired last year. We'd see them lose to somebody, and then they're taking me back to training camp. It's like, I don't care about training camp. We're like halfway through the year, dude. Like, I want to see what these guys are like through a loss. So it's like, I would rather honestly have them not do anything at all, because I think it's stupid to give me access and it be so watered down than like, have nothing. It's essentially like having nothing. So like, that's why I'm not a huge fan of like Hard Knocks either. Like, Hard Knocks to me seems so watered down and kind of boring. Like, I don't know if you've seen Drive to Survive, Uncle Joe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Drive to Survive is 1,000 times better than any of those, than Hard Knocks or any of that. And the craziest part is, I prefer football to Formula One racing, but they just do it better. Those dogs, those series.
Well, Drive to Survive also comes out 3-4 months after the end of the F1 season, so it's not really an episode on one race in particular. It's
Well,
almost
yeah,
taking
that's
you
true.
through a team and or a driver and
Yeah, there's
stuff
a lot more to
stuff
work
during
with.
the year.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind
that's
something
true.
like that then. Follow them the whole season and then just
Yeah,
release it after
I'd
the
rather watch
season's
that.
over and
But
see
like
how
the thing
that
that I'm
goes.
saying is, like, Drive to Survive, like essentially they almost, if there's no drama, they will make it happen. You know what I'm saying? They'll get some good storylines going. And it's like, I feel like with the Hard Knocks and all that, like it's not like the Lions one was good because of obviously Campbell and some of the players. But I mean, some of the other ones just aren't that good, dude. And it's kind of like I tried watching the Miami Dolphins one, and like 2 episodes in, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to watch this anymore.
Do you think there's 3 teams eligible for Hard Knocks? Bears, Broncos, Saints. Which one would you rather want, Uncle Joe?
That's right. Steelers made the playoffs, so they wouldn't be.
God, I wish the Raiders were on that list.
I don't want to see
Well,
the
Raiders
Broncos.
did it a couple years ago, so I think
I
they're
know.
still exempt.
But you know why?
Yeah. Broncos would be interesting.
I want to see that. Yeah.
Because I just want to see Sean Payton's head explode and trying to duck access and everything. Saints,
Yeah, I don't need to see
already
that.
done a Hard Knocks with Derek Carr, so
Caleb Williams would be interesting.
yeah, Bears with the new regime and mostly with the veteran team. I think the Bears with the new quarterback coming in and with the cast around them, I think the Bears could survive a Hard Knocks like that.
Yeah.
Broncos and Saints, who knows? Plus, with the Saints, Dennis Allen really isn't a compelling head coach. So,
Exactly.
who would you sell with the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, the Honey Badger's the only. Honey Badger, Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan. Those guys are interesting. By the way, this year when the Saints had a joint practice with the Chargers, Khalil Mack was at the podium without a shirt on, and Cameron Jordan goes, "Does that guy ever wear a shirt?" And I'm like, "Not really." He's like, "Well, if I had a body like that, I'd show it off too." So I thought that was pretty funny. Could the Chargers do a joint practice with the 49ers this year, Uncle Joe? What do you think?
We'll have to see when the preseason schedule comes out.
I'm interested because it's usually and it'll be different because Jim obviously they'll probably change up their preseason, but I'm interested.
You see how Farrell's already starting to put on his WWE hat, Uncle Joe, trying to do the storylines. Fired head coach with new coaching staff and organization comes back to see the facility that would have been his if he would have had a winning season. Let's see how this interaction works and everything else, dude.
Or seeing him to try to duck out from media requests and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I know who'd be the first one requesting him. But Uncle Joe, before we let you go, just what do you expect in these next few weeks? Because we'll have you on before training camp and all that. But what do you expect these next few weeks leading up to the draft?
I think there's still space for J.K. Dobbins to sign here.
Ooh.
Why go with one Baltimore running back when you can get 2? I think that, we've seen with the Disley and the Edwards signings, it's very targeted to being more physical and all of that. And I think it's going to continue to be that way. And then hopefully, I think you got to pick up another receiver or 2. And then, then we start focusing on the draft and, also wondering how many primetime appearances this team gets. And,
6.
They
got 6 with Brandon Staley. I think they're going to get 6 with
with Harbaugh. And I mean, dude,
I told Daniel, I think the first game of the season, Sunday Night Football, Jim versus John, or Monday Night Football, Jim versus John. That to me screams the first game of the season. To be, I mean, the first either that Sunday night or that Thursday night, or that
That could be
Monday night.
Thanksgiving night again.
Oh, you think so?
That could be Thanksgiving because the first time they played each other was a
Oh wow, okay.
Thanksgiving night on NFL Network. So
I don't
I
think they'll
mean,
send the Chargers to Kansas City for the first game. I don't think they would. Or what do you think? Do you think that would be a?
that might be difficult. I think they
Because the
got
Chiefs,
they
the
got
Chiefs,
Buffalo and Baltimore
yeah,
coming
and
in.
San Francisco and Tampa, home games, and
Won't
even
it?
Houston.
Yeah, I mean it could be Tampa, could be Houston, could be Baltimore. Because the last couple times, with the exception of last year with Detroit, it seems like when Kansas City is open the last 4 or 5 years, it has been playoff rematches. So
My bad. It's Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Chargers, and the Bucks. Those are the I mean, going away from the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Saints. Those are the kind of 4 interesting matchups.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Tampa
or Cincinnati. I mean, Joe Burrow coming back from injury and all of that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I could definitely, and it seems like Cincinnati's had some success at times in Arrowhead. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And Kansas City lost this year, the first game of the season to the Lions. So that does happen. Dan, you got anything else for Uncle Joe before we let him go? We appreciate your time, Uncle Joe.
No, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. He answered all my questions.
SummerSlam is in Cleveland. Will Uncle Joe be making a surprise return to his city?
Well, as a bronze season ticket holder, I do have first access to tickets because I got that email saying
Nice.
that we will get in on the pre-sale. So
there you go.
It's possible. That's also during the Olympics and scrimmages and everything here. So kind of how the calendar opens. But I think everybody is gearing up for WrestleMania now, and what we thought was going to happen in Los Angeles last year with The Rock being here and 2 days of matches with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes is gonna happen in Philly. Hopefully, a blizzard doesn't hit those 2 days. And
imagine.
So,
who do you have, by the way, real quick? This will be my last one. Who do you have, Cody or Roman?
I think Cody gets it. I think that. Yeah. I mean, after last year, with the amount of people shocked and crying and tears flowing, and the shock that he didn't.
Don't out Gilbert like that.
He's a Cody crybaby.
I think that it happens this year, and
you don't make the guy win the Royal Rumble twice, dude. To lose twice.
And the slap back this past Friday was excellent too. So a lot of momentum building up for the card and everything, and it should be a good one.
You think the glass breaks on that Sunday or no? Or Saturday?
Could be. Could definitely be.
This is the first WrestleMania under Triple H and Nick Khan.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe more to second because I think.
Well, last year he was kind of away from all that stuff.
Yeah. Vince with the El Chapo mustache didn't all of a sudden make an appearance until WrestleMania weekend when it's like, wait a minute, is there going to be a sale? What sale? And then
funny?
Then it broke at 3 a.m. Monday morning here on the West Coast.
You know what was funny? When I saw those photos of him leaked or whatever, I was like, "Oh, this isn't it." I thought it was fake. I was like, "This isn't how he looks."
It was like Uncle Joe. It's either Vincente McMahon or Guillermo from the Jimmy Kimmel Show.
Uncle Joe, before we let you go, we want to see your dance. He's at the 15, at the 10, at the 5, touchdown. We want to see it.
Want to see it, baby. Want to see it. Austin, when will we get to dance again and hang out?
We were hugging. That is Uncle Joe Reedy. Thank you so much, Uncle Joe, for jumping on with us. Again, we'll have you on before training camp, but it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Good, always good talking to you, and go Padres.
They just made a big trade, so I know San Diego's very excited about that. But folks, make sure you guys go check out everything else on Compas on the Beat Network. Make sure you guys subscribe for the newsletter. Make sure you guys hit up all of our shows. You guys know that right now we're going to be jumping on lives talking about free agency hires. Make sure you guys talk about all of that. Again, thank you guys so much for checking us out. We appreciate you guys so much. We will be back if anything else drops, any news drops, we will be back. But thank you guys. And on Monday, we have a very special guest jumping on with Gilbert and myself at 4 p.m. Well, she or he will be coming on at 4:30, but Gilbert and I are starting the live at 4. So make sure you guys check that out. We're so excited about this. But thank you guys so much. And have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Thank you guys.